The opening scene of the movie sees a security guard fearfully unscrewing the vent's screws with his bare hands. The guard got scared when he heard someone pounding on the blocked door. He finally opened the vents and crawled inside. When he got out of the vents, he crawled out of the vents and hurried out of the room he was in, not seeing the shadow of what seemed to be a large bear. The guard was trying to open the door when he heard a humming coming from behind him. Something approached the guard from behind, and the latter screamed in fear. The guard was strapped to a chair, and only his screams of terror were heard as a mechanical bear mask was put on him, resulting in his death. Male cop Mike Schmidt was buying himself an ice cream when he noticed a boy standing all by himself. Mike kept looking over the boy when he saw a man approach the boy, taking the latter somewhere else. Mike, assuming that the man was a kidnapper, ran after them and tackled the man into the fountain, beating him up senseless. Mike's co-worker pulled him away from the man, and Mike then realized that the man was actually the kid's father. After what happened, Mike visited a career counselor named Steve Raglan to ask for help, but the latter rejected him as Mike had a record of getting fired for various reasons, like insubordination. But when Steve read Mike's full name, he seemed to have realized something and decided to offer Mike a job as a night guard at an abandoned diner called Fazbear's Pizza. Mike rejected the job offer as he couldn't do night shifts because of his younger sister, Abby. Still, Steve handed his call card to Mike just in case he changed his mind. Mike went back home, and Max, Abby's babysitter, left once he arrived. Mike checked on Abby in her room and found her drawing again. When he asked about the drawing, Abby answered that the characters in her drawing are her friends. Mike then went to his room to sleep. As he slept, Mike dreamt about what happened years ago. Mike witnessed his younger brother, Garrett, get kidnapped by an unknown man. A young Mike ran after the car, and later on, a grown-up Mike was seen screaming his brother's name as he watched the car disappear from his sight. The next day, Mike met up with Dr. Lillian and his scheming aunt, Jane, who was planning on taking custody of Abby just so she could receive child support checks. After Jane left, Dr. Lillian assured Mike that Abby would prefer to be with him instead of his aunt and advised him to find a new job immediately to avoid getting Abby taken away from him. Listening to Dr. Lillian's advice, Mike called Steve Raglan and took the job the latter offered him. On his first night of work, Mike was in control and was sleeping, dreaming of his brother's disappearance once again. But in this dream, Mike turned to see 5 children standing still and staring at him. He asked the children if they saw the man who took his brother, but the children didn't answer. Instead, they suddenly ran off, and Mike chased after the blonde boy only to trip and get abruptly woken up. The next day, Jane was talking to Max and her brother Jeff. Max had been spying on Mike to find anything they could use against him so Jane could get Abby. But she never found anything useful, and Jeff suggested trashing Mike's workplace so the latter could lose his job. On Mike's second night of work, Mike was sleeping and dreaming again. This time, Mike was chasing another child when said child attacked him with a hook, making a cut on his arm. When Mike looked back at the child, the latter suddenly screamed with black ink coming out of his eyes. Mike woke up to the electricity acting up, and he went to the power generator, not noticing the writings on the mirror and Foxy, one of the animatronic mascots, standing by the open door. After the electricity was fixed, the diner was visited by a female cop named Vanessa Shelley, who had been visiting the diner from time to time. Vanessa pointed out the cut on Mike's arm and helped him patch up the wound. Vanessa mentions that security hires at Freddy's never last, because besides the low pay, there was big news about kids at Freddy's going missing in the 80s, which is why the place was shut down. After Mike's shift the next day, Jeff and his friends, Carl and Hank, infiltrated the place and trashed everything. Carl was in the kitchen where he was murdered by the animatronic mascots, Chica the Chicken and Mr. Cupcake. Hank saw what was happening and ran away, going into a storage room where Bonnie the rabbit killed him. Jeff, who saw Hank running away through the CCTV camera, went to check what was happening and tried to escape as soon as he saw Bonnie. His demise was inevitable, as he got cornered by Foxy the pirate. Max, who was the group's designated driver, had been waiting outside for a while and decided to look for Jeff and his friends. Inside the diner, she saw a kid and followed him into the room where the mascots were created. A curious Max approached the mascot Golden Freddy when suddenly a hand reached out from Golden Freddy's mouth and pulled Max, killing her. Vanessa went to Mike's house to tell him that someone had broken in at Freddy's and showed him the sleeping pills he left in the control room. Mike told Vanessa that he had been taking sleeping pills so he could keep dreaming about what happened to Gorette, wanting to see the face of the man who took his brother. Mike knew that he had seen the man's face, but those memories were already buried deep inside, and he's been trying to remember him by dreaming. On his third night of work, Mike brought Abby to Freddy's with him because he couldn't contact Max. Abby set up a port while Mike did his job. After cleaning the whole place, Mike took a sleeping pill and dreamt of the blonde boy. He asked the blonde boy what he knew, promising to give him what he wanted. Mike looked away for a second when he heard a girl scream, and when he looked back, the boy was gone, and there was a drawing of a mascot on the ground. Mike woke up and realized that Abby wasn't in the port anymore. He heard Abby screaming, and when he ran to get her, he found her playing with the moving mascots. Mike was spooked when he realized that the mascots were moving on their own, but didn't do anything that might push the mascots to attack them. Before they left, Abby handed Bonnie her drawing of a heart and hugged Golden Freddy. When they got back home, Mike saw Abby's previous drawings and realized that Abby had drawn children that had similarities with the mascots. He then saw a drawing of when Garrett got taken, and when he asked Abby about it, she answered that the blonde boy told her about it. Mike asked about the driver, and Abby answered that the only thing a blonde boy told her was a yellow rabbit. On his fourth night of work, Mike brought Abby again with him, and they saw Vanessa's police car. Abby mentioned that her friends told her Vanessa was nice before she went inside, greeting Vanessa and approaching her animatronic friends. Mike learned that Vanessa had already known that a group of children had possessed the mascots. Abby suggested making a large port that would fit all of them, and with the help of the mascots, they did just as she suggested. Mike and Vanessa left Abby with the mascots to get a roof for their port, and Mike asked Vanessa what else she knew about the diner. Instead of answering, Vanessa asked Mike why he brought Abby with him again, even after knowing that the mascots were alive. Mike explained that he felt like the children possessing the mascots knew who took Garrett, and when he's at Freddy's, his dreams feel more vivid, and he feels like he can change what really happened to Garrett. As they were talking, Vanessa saw Abby approaching Bonnie on the stage, and she tried to stop her from touching Bonnie's guitar. But it was too late, as the guitar suddenly exploded, rendering Abby unconscious. Once Abby regained consciousness again, Vanessa threatened Mike to never bring Abby back to the diner again, or she would shoot him. The next day, Mike got Jane to babysit Abby while he went to work, where he dreamt again. Things were different in that dream. He saw his family with Garrett, and the blonde boy told him that he can dream about this happy moment every night, just as long as he gives Abby to them. Mike mindlessly agreed, but when he caressed Garrett's face, he realized his mistake and decided to take it back. But when he turned, everything was gone. Suddenly, the children came running towards him, attacking him. When he woke up, he was strapped to a chair, and a mechanical mask was about to be put on his face. He escaped from the chair and backed away, only to find Max's head and the others' dead bodies. Mike tried to escape, but he heard humming from behind him and screamed in fear. He lost consciousness, and when he woke up, he realized that he had been taken to a police outpost by Vanessa. who found him badly injured and unconscious in the diner. Mike learned that it wasn't only the children's ghosts that were inside the mascots, but also their bodies. Those children were killed by a man who could somehow manipulate the ghost children, who couldn't remember anything that happened to them. Vanessa showed Mike a picture of a yellow rabbit and a little girl, revealing that the yellow rabbit, the murderer, is William Afton, and he is her father. Meanwhile, Golden Freddy went to Mike's house and killed Jane to get Abby, who willingly came with him because she trusted him. Mike came and sneaked inside the diner to save Abby, and he saw that she was being led somewhere. Unnoticed by Golden Freddy and Bonnie, Mike poured water on the stage and tasered the water, causing the two mascots to malfunction. Mike ran after Chica and Abby and tasered Chica. The siblings ran, but Mike's leg was caught by Mr. Cupcake, so Mike told Abby to run away while he fought against Mr. Cupcake. While Mike was fighting off Mr. Cupcake, Abby was being hunted down by Foxy. Abby was hiding under the ball pool when Foxy was electrified by Vanessa, bringing him down. Mike, on the other hand, had successfully electrified Mr. Cupcake and went to follow Abby only to be met by the Yellow Rabbit. Unmatched by the Yellow Rabbit's strength, Mike was knocked down. Yellow Rabbit approached Mike with a knife, ready to kill him, but Vanessa came and stopped him from doing so. The Yellow Rabbit took off his mask, revealing Steve Raglan, who turned out to be William Afton. While Vanessa was confronting her own father, Mike woke up and told Abby to draw what really happened to the ghost children, so she could help them see who the real bad guy is. Abby did as she was told, and when William noticed her, he let go of Vanessa to get to Abby. But Vanessa stopped William again, not wanting him to hurt another child, only to get stabbed by her crazed father. Mike, on the other hand, ran to the control room to fix the electricity, and when Abby was done drawing, the light focused on the paper. In that paper, the ghost children saw a drawing of the Yellow Rabbit killing children, and after realizing that those children were them, they turned against William. The ghost children controlled William's animatronic suit and watched him suffer. As Abby, Mike, and Vanessa escaped the dinner, the ghost children were pulling a badly injured William away. After what happened, Vanessa was brought to the hospital and has been unconscious since then. Dr. Lillian also noticed that Abby seemed to be a lot more enthusiastic and applauded Mike. While eating together, Abby expressed her worry over the ghost children, who don't have anyone taking care of them now. Meanwhile, William was seen whimpering in pain inside a room in the diner. He weakly reached out to the blonde boy who had been watching him from the door. Without saying anything, the blonde boy slowly closed the door. In the epilogue scene, a cab driver is seen resting in his cab when he hears the passenger door opening. Assuming that it was a passenger, he told them to get out of the car as he was already done working. When he didn't receive any answer, he turned to look at the passenger seat and screamed when he saw the balloon boy.